On this episode of Balance and Manifest, Your Rise to Greatness, I sit down with Ryan, Mike, and Wilmer from the clothing brand Nightmare Muscle. The guys walk us through the personal story behind the Nightmare Muscle brand and concept, how they met, and the ups and downs of their growth as a company, as individuals, and as friends. Sit back and enjoy as we delve into one of the fastest growing names in powerlifting and fitness. Welcome to another episode of Balance and Manifest, Your Rise to Greatness, the podcast where our guests share their stories of overcoming hardship and fighting their way to success to help and inspire and motivate others. I'm your host, Sean, and I am flying solo tonight. Savannah's at home taking care of the baby. So before we get going, just take care of a little house cleaning here. Do us a favor, wherever you listen to this podcast, subscribe. Like, listen, share. If you can, rate the podcast 5 stars would be perfect. We'd appreciate it. Helps us grow in charts, helps reach more people, helps get the story out. And as always, podcast is presented by 9 Realms Athletics. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I believe. TikTok? I'm not a big TikToker. 9realmsathletics.com. Listeners of the show use promo code MANIFEST for a discount on all our stuff. So for this episode, made a little road trip to, I didn't tell you guys this before. When we thought of this show, the idea of this show, you guys were one of the first people that I wrote down to talk to. So I'm with Ryan, Mike, and Will from Nightmare Muscle. How you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Great.
So legit, not to put you guys on the spot, but when we started this little journey, you guys were and are still people that we super look up to. Follow all you guys, your fitness journey. Ryan's doing crazy things transformation wise, different goals. Just love seeing what you guys do, how you do it. And it's an inspiration to us. So I really appreciate you guys sitting down and talking.
No problem, my man. That's great. It's always a weird feeling. I can't nail the feeling. Like, you know, when people say that what we're doing is inspiring and motivating them, because sometimes I feel like all we do is fuck up, especially me. So I'm like, damn, my fuck ups are inspiring, motivating people. Man, I can't wait till I get on the other side of that. But that's awesome, man, and we really appreciate it, and we were excited to see when another fitness brand, you know, that was more than just about fitness, you know, it was a family thing that got started. And me being the one that was making the trip up to Chalk It Up, being Rob's gym, and then that's kind of how I got to, you know, I saw you guys initially before you even got started. So I kind of, you know, I was like, oh, that's cool. They got started? Oh, that's awesome. So it's awesome to see that, man, and I just appreciate, you know, those kind words, man, and, you know, that sentiment does go a long way for me, at least. You know, I'm the emotional guy around here, so I'm always trying to reflect on things and just use those emotional motivators to keep pushing through, and I'm going to stop talking now.
Good.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, whoever else.
I'm gonna wait till there's a question.
Yeah, it's cool seeing, like, you're online and you see all these big Gymshark and all the big names everybody knows, but there's nothing behind it, right? It's marketing and it's influencers and all that, and that's cool. But you don't get that sense of community, that sense of feeling. So that's something that drew me to you guys. And a driving force also, like with us doing this podcast, is like we're really into motivating other people, seeing people succeed, and creating a community and space for people to do that comfortably, people not to feel judged and shitty about, you know, if they're at the starting point or the ending point, whatever, that they have a support system around them. And I feel like that's what you guys embody. So it's really cool. Let's just start with how you guys all met.
Your friend Ryan here again. So I met Mike first, and I'll keep that story short and brief, but I met Mike when he was a teenager.
Yep.
19.
No, 18.
18?
18.
Very rambunctious. I was at the time personal training at a place called Bally's Total Fitness.
I think
if y'all know, you know.
I only graduated for like a month or two before I met you.
You don't see Bally's anymore.
No.
Are they done?
Yeah, they're done. They got bought out by 24 Hour. And then 24 Hour ended up getting bought out too, so that was funny.
By some finance firm.
Yep. Shitty ownership. So I was personal training there, and, you know, I was walking out one night, finishing up the PT, and I see this, you know, very wide youngster up in the front, hat backwards. Like, his hat looked like it had been seasoned, like, forever. Like, it had sweat marks, like the sweat marks looked like tie-dye. Like, that's how bad it was. And all I heard him say was, "I want to get trained by that guy right there." And I kind of stopped, and I was just like, fuck. And then the young lady that was taking care of mine, she's like, "Oh,
Phil.
him?
Phil.
Young lady, young man, you know,
Same stuff."
He was like, "Oh, that's Ryan." He was like, "Yeah. How much is it? How much does it cost to train with him?"
How much
is
he?
Bro, I was 18, dropping like thousands of dollars all the time.
Dude, he had no care in the world. So fast forward, me and him start training together. I put him through the ringer, and he just kept showing up. And I was like, "Shit, like this is odd," because most people quit. And Mike was the opposite. He didn't quit, and sometimes when I wanted him to slow down or stop, he just keep going to the point to where he'd almost hurt himself.
For sure, this was some of the hardest training ever, and I wrestled. Like, this is up there.
And he, you know, he just had this engine about him that he just didn't. Nothing fazed him, and I find that to be admirable. That's what, like, the feeling that I had about. I was like, man, he's not 18 and. You know, he just doesn't, like, nothing phases him. He's like, I can do it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it. Now, it didn't always align with what he was saying, his thoughts and his actions, but nonetheless,
the intention was there.
The intention was there. So, you know, I got to know him for a few years, and then he stopped training, like, personal training, paying through that thing. Like, that was just a shitty thing, and anyways, shitty situation. But he came in on the weekends because he was trying to be a fucking firefighter.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, bro, I need you to put me through these workouts. And then, you know, so I was like, all right, cool. He saw that I was wearing a sweater, or just most of the stuff that I was wearing said Nightmare Muscle. And I didn't know Mike was like a business-minded person, entrepreneurial, because when he saw those things, he took note of it, and he saw it over a few years or whatever. And he's like, hey, what's that? And I'm like, what's what? And he was like, that's the sweat, like Nightmare Muscle. What is that? And I was like, oh, it's just something that I started and I do. And just how I go about life. He was like, oh, okay, well, I see that you have a few people wearing that. Like,
and wanting it.
And wanting it. I was like, oh, yeah, well, you know, not everybody gets this. So I was just like, you know, because it was just something that I held personal to me. And I just felt that, you know, not everybody was on that same hype. You know, they weren't going about life the way I was. You know, I was aggressive. I wanted to get after things. And I just saw everybody else that was passive and sitting back and just not getting after life. And so I was kind of like the gatekeeper of my own stuff. I was like, you can't have it.
So it's like you had to earn.
You
have to pay your dues, and you got to earn that night.
And I had to see it. I had to see it. So, you know, there was a handful of people that liked it. And then Mike just saw, you know, an opportunity. He's like, so have you ever thought about starting a business? I'm like, what? A business? What do you mean? He's like an LLC or something. I was like, a what? And he was like,
So
like a limited liability company. Like, you know, you can sell it. And I was like, nah, bro, I don't know what that is, and no, I haven't thought about that. And then he was like, well, I'm just gonna bring you a paper anyways tomorrow, and then if you want to start a company, just let me know, and I'll help you out with that.
I filled it out and everything. All he had to do was sign and give a check.
And so I held on to that for like a year. I just ignored him. And one day I was riding home from the gym with my homie Joe, White Joe. What's up? He don't listen to the podcast, but I was sitting in his Prius, and I was sitting there after a crazy leg day, and I was like, damn. Like, I don't really feel like I have anything to show for in life besides my job that I do go to, but I can't say that I love it. But it's just, you know, something that I make money. I was like, man, if I was to ever leave this earth, I don't have anything that, you know, I could leave behind. Like, there would be no memory of me besides, you know, the loved ones that have of me. Like, I want to leave something behind. That moment, I text Mike. I said, what's up? You trying to do this thing with me?
This is facts.
He was like, and then he was like, yeah, sure. Like, yeah, let's do it. And then I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to bring it and sign it, and we're going to do this. And then the rest is history. Like, after that day, like, me and him, like, we knew each other, but we didn't know each other.
Yeah,
and
that's a different level of, like, we trained together, and now we're in business. We're in bed together. It's
we're basically married.
He got to see the ugly side of me, and I got to see we just got to see all sides of each other. Yeah. We'd show up in the mornings at 3, 4 in the morning, sitting there trying to go over designs. He's trying to figure out the web design, we're trying to figure out screen printing and all of that stuff in the midst of it. And he's like, do you like this? I'm like, no, that's ugly. No, that's ugly. No, I don't like that. Move that over here. Move that over here. And meanwhile, Mike just learned this like 18 hours ago. And, you know, he just had something about him that I did trust about him, but we were still growing up in life, and Mike was still really young.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't think you got to watch the ugly of me. You just got to watch me grow up in general.
No, that's what. Yeah, so he got to see the ugly side of me because I'm almost 10 years older than him.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I already had some ways said about me, but the one thing about business is that I've learned is, you know, the business can only grow at the capacity of the leader that is at the top of it.
100%.
So once I heard that, I'm like, shit, man, like that's talking about me now. And then talking about taking, you know, full responsibility and accountability, man, I've never had to do that in my life. And it started to really show up, you know, in a lot of different areas of my life to where I was like, shit, man, I've been kind of ducking and dodging responsibilities around here. What the jeez. So that's kind of how me and Mike met. And so we fast forward 3 years into the business. I'm like the athlete right now in the business because I was very adamant about not needing a famous face. And I didn't care to have influencers. I didn't want to do any of that.
Grassroots from the ground up.
And, you know, Mike was like, all right, cool. But like we need something though, you know, like, and I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to get out here and do it myself then. And, you know, I also didn't like to be in front of Instagram and stuff like that either at the time.
Yeah, he didn't get Instagram until he was almost 30.
I got Instagram when I met Rob.
Big Rob?
Big Rob. Right. He said, you need a fucking Instagram. And then
so it's his fault you got sucked into social media.
And then I got one, and then Mike was like, really? You got a fucking Instagram? Really? I was like, well, the way that Rob explained it, it made sense to me. When you say it to me, it sounds like you're like telling me what to do, and I don't like that. So I was doing strongman and that's how I met Rob. But anyways, so I was doing strongman. We did a few competitions, was able to take it to nationals, and I probably didn't place that well in there because there was crazy strong athletes up there, and I never got myself humbled before until I got to the national stage. I'm like, oh.
And that shit hurts.
Ooh, boy. Yeah, so yeah, man, it was awesome to be grounded. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a great feeling though. Like I was all about that shit. So I was in 24. I remember me sitting on the bench, and we just had finished, you know, my strongman run, and we were now focusing on, you know, just powerlifting. And that was probably the strongest I've ever been in my life from that transition. And I've seen Wilmer in the gym before, but I thought he was the biggest douchebag ever. Only because like he would be walking around in his J's, training people, and his very passive, but not passive the way that most people use it, but like he was chill. You know, he wasn't aggressive about anything. He was just very calm, cool, collective. And I took that as like, you think you all that or whatever, bro.
Wilmer over here just existing and shit.
That's
And
it.
Ryan's like, this
motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm just sitting there banging on the waist, and Wilmer's over there training people. And, you know, he's just sliding through the gym. That's what he used to do, just slide and glide through the gym. He had his ones on. He wanted to get it creased. Man, why you got your ones on over there training somebody? You ain't trying to get him creased, motherfucker. Shit. And then, so I seen Will in the gym maybe for about 12 to 18 months of just like, not even like acknowledging each other. I just seen him from a distance. And he comes up to me. He was like, hey, like you this guy right here, like
with the Instagram.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, bro, that's me.
Like fanboy. Fanboying over.
He was like, damn, bro, like this is tight, man. Like I really feel what y'all been doing. And the Pink Box Monster was the first shirt that he got from us. And he was like, man, I really like what you guys are doing. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, that's what's up. And then like ever since then, you know, we'd see each other, you know, and it was a few weeks later to where he came up to me after that. And he was like, yeah, man, so I was thinking about getting started with, you know, my own brand. That's kind of like what you guys are doing. So I just figured, since you guys are already doing what I want to do, I just figured if I was like, what's up? Can I rock with y'all? Can I do what you're like you mean like you want to like be a part of the team or something? He's like, yeah, whatever that looks like. You know, I'm just trying to, you know, I just like what y'all doing, and I feel like I don't need to do something else because you guys are already kind of doing that, like the stuff that I would do. So I want to see what it takes to get on the squad. I'm like, all right, well, we meet at this time, just show up at the shop. Meanwhile, me and Mike's communication it's been spotty, like prior to this. So Wilmer's here at the shop, and then Mike walks in, and then, you know, we're talking or whatever, and then he's like, who is this? And I'm like, oh, that's Wilmer. Like, you know, he's just gonna like come, you know, he's here with the team. Like, he's trying to be on the team and stuff. And then he shows up to the event, the Strong Woman event. That was the first event, right?
Yeah.
And then he shows up there, and then I'm still not saying nothing to Mike. He's like, what is he doing? I'm like,
I was fucking lost.
I was like, bro, oh, like, he gonna do the media stuff with us because like we both suck at that, and I really don't want to do it, and he wants to do it. So like, why not? And then Mike was just like, all right, whatever, you know, like just kind of like whatever about it.
Dude, Mike
I have a
hated
show
me at
didn't
first,
like
too.
Will.
Mike felt
It was like a theme going on. First, Ryan didn't like me, and then Mike didn't like me.
Your boy is weary.
because Wilmer doesn't. Like, he doesn't speak a lot. He's very soft,
yeah.
you know. His energy is not intimidating, like not it's not aggressive. So you're trying to fill it out.
It's a hard read.
Yeah, you're trying to read him, but at the same token, it's just like what is he do? Like, what is he trying to do? Because even me, I was trying to read, and like we had our growing pains. Like, I was trying to figure out like his commitment level and stuff, and it was only until after 36 months to where I was like, all right, cool, I think he's serious now. You know, he showed up, he was doing video editing, he got to see the other side of me too, where I'm very driving and demanding to the point to where I can come off as a huge asshole. And, you know, I just really, you know, expect a lot of the people that are around me, because I do expect a lot out of myself. But as we all start to grow, and I won't touch too much on this, but like we took something called the DISC assessment, and that really showed me, because it measures your behaviors. And, you know, the D, the I, the S, and the C, and it's driving. The I is for interactive, and the S is being supportive, like the type of person, like you're the passive, you're more of the supportive system, and then the C is the person that likes procedures and systems. I had none of those. He had a lot of systems and supportive, and so it showed where we were all at, and it made so much sense of why our communication was so off. And once we took that test, it really changed the dynamics around here in our communications, and we really started to heal some of the trauma that I was causing in here because of my dictator personality at times. I'm like, you're gonna fucking do this. Not only gonna do this, you're gonna stay up until as long as it's done, and you're gonna send it over to me. And if I don't like it, you're gonna redo it. Just crazy stuff that, looking back, I'm like, damn, man, like these dudes are fucking savages for dealing with that. Because
that was a rough time.
Fuck off, But I really want to win. But I was going about it in the wrong way, and looking at it now, it's almost a full 360 because I just I just know what not to do. Wilmer's also, he's matured, we've all matured around each other to where we can communicate now. Like Wilmer he didn't want to or could talk to me, and now we have that communication. And then same thing with me and Mike still butt heads, but it's kind of like the big brother, little brother thing. And then it's like, you're going to fucking do this. I'm like, no, whatever. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm like, yeah, the fuck you are. You're going to do it. I'm like, oh, all right, whatever, Ryan. So that's kind of how we met, man. It's just, I felt like we attracted each other, and I was kind of like that beacon for these guys. And, whatever they saw in me first started off from a physical appearance. But then what kept them here, I feel, was just my ability to be willing to do anything for them, too. Because it wouldn't, like, if I was just demanding them to do, and never show any side of, the opposite of, like, I'm willing to do more, but not throw that in their face.
You're not asking them to do anything that you're not willing to do yourself, or that you're not sitting there in a recliner.
Yeah.
Eating Cheetos and just telling them to do shit. You just want people you want them to meet your standard of you, right?
Yeah.
And he wants us to win too, which is something I feel we all understand.
Yeah. I care about them through the business, but more so I care about the person outside of the business 100%. Because I just know that when that is done right, whatever else you have going on in your life will just add to it. Yeah. The home life, you will bring that here. So if you're not taking care of yourself outside of whatever you're doing, you're going to bring that to the workplace. You're going to bring that to your business, and you're not going to be the same. You're not going to operate the way that you should in your gift. So I just didn't have a way to communicate that initially. It was just done by force. And
that's part of growing up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And just telling them instead of coming to them and to where they're at. I used to try to get them to come to where I'm at, and that was the mistake that I was making. And we still butt heads, but I feel like that's a healthy thing because we all do want to win now. Like, I'm not feeling like I'm having to pull them, and I'm not feeling like I'm having to pull Mike away from him doing something that he shouldn't be doing. He can make those decisions on his own now, and then we'll all come together as a collective conscious, and then we'll move forward from there. So it's definitely been a transition, and it just started with me, needing to mature myself because I wasn't a mature. The age didn't dictate my maturity level, and I was embarrassed for that. And now I feel like I've grown, I've expedited that growth process because I needed to be, I needed to be that leader, and not just like leader them, but like lead myself in my own life, but.
Well, that's huge that you say, because everybody says, check your shit at the door, right? I try not to swear on this, but I'm throwing this all out the window. I didn't say that.
Okay. I'll turn it down.
No, you're good. You just say we say it once. You just got to put a warning on it. I don't care. But people always say, check your shit at the door. Leave personal life at home. Leave it out of work. And coming from somebody who in a job where that's not feasible. Like, people don't realize that's not realistic. Mm-hmm. That you can't just, I take work home and it's not good, and you bring personal shit from home to work. And it sounds like at a young age, you're younger, you were able to realize that, right? That's a big, that's a huge thing that you care about the business, but you care about the livelihoods of the people themselves. Like you care about the team. I won't necessarily say almost more than the business, but it's like it's one thing, which I think is a huge trait of a leader. It's not just about the end goal. It's the livelihood and the well-being and the happiness and health of everybody to get you to that goal. Like if they're not happy and healthy, you're not going to reach that goal. That's just not going to happen. And it sounds like your passion came from, if I'm reading it right, like this is your baby, right? Like Nightmare Muscle is your creation, right? So you're not just going to put that in anybody's hands. You want it to be in the best hands possible. So how did you come up with the concept of Nightmare Muscle, or what is, like, to you, what is Nightmare Muscle?
Man, we've been trying to work on that message for a very long time. But the essence of it is, for me, when I got started, was just being aggressive towards life and having heart for life. That right there was what I felt people were missing. And I saw it in my parents. My mom never lifted a weight in her life, but I promise you wasn't finna mess with her, you know, and she had the emotional capacity of I don't really know how to explain it, but like her like that was her strength, she was the foundation of the family, and she could endure. That's the right word. Endure anything and continue to push forward in a positive manner and not be moody about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, things happen. All right, cool. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to handle it. And we're going to keep moving forward. Like, the family meant everything to her. And so that heart right there is what kind of kept going with me. And I was like, man, like, that's a different type of strength. Because my dad, being Samoan, he was from the islands, and they spoke with their hands. Like, my dad I don't care what nobody says. Like, the Polynesian culture, they don't understand their emotions. They're very emotional people, and they run and fuel themselves off of that. And until they can understand that, everything is like either violent or suppressed. They're either talking with their hands or they're not saying anything, and they suppress it, and it just comes out later on in a physical manner.
That's how it manifests.
So for me, Nightmare Muscle, that was it for me, man. I just felt like if you didn't have heart, like if you weren't willing to show up on the days you didn't want to show up, and that's also stemmed from football. Like we learned how to work through pain. We had to differentiate the difference between pain and injury, and most of the time it was always just pain. Yeah. Even if you were limping or there was a bump or a bruise that would look like it was bleeding, it's just an injury. Don't worry about it. I mean, it's just pain. Don't worry about it. So that's kind of like, where the whole Nightmare Muscle thing. And at first it's still like, there's a portion of Nightmare Muscle that still holds dear to me. But Mike said that, early on, he was like, man, like, this is like your baby, but you can't romanticize with it, because if we want this business to grow, it has to do its thing, and we have to be able to pivot and do certain things that you might not necessarily like to do or want to do, and that's all we've been doing lately. And I'm just like, oh God, I don't want to do that.
You gotta grow and evolve.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, like, with any business, it doesn't matter what your intentions are. Your customers are going to dictate what they want from you.
Yeah.
So so, like, there's a balance between that, me and Mike, and him, playing to the customer. Like, I don't give a fuck what they want. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like, they not here with us. And, like Ford said, if you ask the customer what they wanted, they'll just want more horses. Yeah. So they're like, there's that, like, there's always that, and I think that's good, because, if we're always just doing what the customer wants, then we're going to be up shit's creek. Like, we're trying to give them something they've never seen. So, like Tesla or any of those guys. But figuring out what that is and then proving Mike wrong in that is all I'm really here for at times.
Is he gonna prove you
You
wrong,
know,
Mike?
and then even if I did, Mike still wouldn't. He's like, oh well, you know, it's all good. Like, yeah, whatever. I'm here for that too. So
I think it's a balance.
Yeah.
Because I for sure am. I'm here to serve. I think that would be the best way I could put it. Like, I'm of service.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they're. I agree. I think there's a balance. Like, if there's, like, you got your heart and soul into the brand, like that's you. And if you just break from that and go, you know, whatever you want to call it, commercial, sell out, whatever, you just give people whatever's the flavor of the day. That's not you, right? You're taking what made Nightmare Muscle out of the equation, and then it just becomes another, you know, list off, you know, name off of a list of 500 different brands.
Yeah.
Another cog in the machine.
Exactly. So I agree. There's like a delicate balance of knowing what you got to do business wise and giving people what they want, but also staying true to you and true to yourself as your guys' brand and what you guys represent. How did you feel, Will, coming into it?
Well, I mean, I strongly believe in them, like both of them. So for me, it was more them as individuals as opposed to like the business or the brand. And so, you know, that's why I stuck. It's because I believe in them, and they both have, like, you know, their driving forces, and I'm just here. Like, my biggest thing is to support and making sure, like, whatever they want to do is done right. I think a good example of that is like our taxes and stuff like that. Like Ryan was saying, I'm the systems guy, and I take pride in that. You know, I want things to be done correctly and in support of the bigger goal.
So you guys all. I also listened to your guys' podcast too. To just veer off from that real quick, just so you know, bears can run about 25 to 35 miles an hour. So
Tell me why that is probably the most listened to podcast, though.
Oh, the one where I was trying to shoot the bear?
No, yeah, where I was talking about I was going to fight a bear.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Just I told Wilmer down the road, I got lost in Mount Shasta in a snowstorm bear hunting. So,
Dude, bears are crazy.
Yeah.
Have you seen a polar bear's paw? It's like the size of my head.
Yeah. It's like Brock
You
Lesnar.
said you gonna sit there and wrestle one.
A
You're not
baby
gonna
bear.
wrestle
That's a
one.
baby bear.
Even
Well,
then.
wherever baby bear is, mama bear is close.
That's true. These are the facts. If you see a baby bear, you should probably run.
Yeah. So you guys do this full time, right? This is your guys' livelihood, correct?
This is all we would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Hustling.
Yeah, man.
There's a lot of different things within it, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So when you made that transition to this is what I want to do, what did people around you say? Like, so in one of your guys' episodes, you talk about how people you grew up with, people you've known a long time, say they're with you and support you, and those are sometimes the people who support you the least. And I actually had somebody from another business, someone I talked to, does a fitness, and he said the exact same thing to me. He's like, it's always the people who you expect to support you who don't, and you got strangers that are like ride or die and stick with you.
These are facts.
Yeah, we say that all the time.
And it's a weird concept to me. It's something that I try to go out of my way to people that I know, people I've known for a long time. If they got something going on, to support them, check in, positive reinforcement, motivation, whatever it is. What did you guys get from the closest people in your life when you're like, no, this is the future. Like, this is what I'm doing.
I like to think that we're the same way, that we do our best to reach out and be supportive of everyone we know. And I think Will has said this multiple times the best. Your first drop of whatever you do is probably going to do the best with those people. But like, I can only speak from my personal experience. Like, I get told to get a job all the time. because sometimes I'm late on rent. Just to be like real. I live with my aunt, so she's like kind of chill about it. But there was a minute where if I lived anywhere else, I would have got kicked out or evicted if it wasn't for COVID. But it just is what it is. Like to this day, I don't think anyone's ever gonna not tell me to get a job until we're like rolling in bands and I have my my Rolls Royce or my Bentley. And even then, someone will probably still tell me to go get a job.
Yeah.
And what were you guys doing? What were you guys doing before you said this is what we're doing? We're betting on ourselves.
I feel like we should be honest though, because I got fired, so this is not a choice.
Yeah, me too. I got laid off. I was a personal trainer for 6 years, and then COVID hit, and I mean I was doing working with these two guys during that time that I was a trainer, but during the pandemic they laid us all off, and that's when I'm like, all right, I guess this is the opportunity, and it's kind of forced upon me, but I took it. That's what I wanted to do it, and I was trying to strategize to do it like not do it abruptly, like kind of ease into it.
You picked the time, time and the place.
Yeah, but
fate said different.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah.
I still have a job, and I still have a 9 to 5. That's my side gig.
He does it for the insurance. It's expensive over here, y'all.
Yeah, so I don't hear my wife saying, you need insurance. Like, well, we're married, so can I get? She's like, no, you're expensive. So, but the job that I do have, they do understand that I have a business and it comes first. So that was the terms that I took the job on. Like, if I need to leave, it's not a question of can I? It's I'm leaving. So on a trip, and for the most part, they were cool with it, and they still honor that till this day. And I don't see a need to leave until there's a need to leave, to where I've outgrown that opportunity. And, I see in the near future that more than likely that will happen sooner than later. But I really have to have my stuff together because, my wife is going to be like, hey, what's up? But she's, to go back to the first part of the question, like with, those that are closest, sometimes don't support you and stuff. My wife has been the biggest supporter of us and has in all ways, resources, time, and energy, and that was, I'm forever grateful and in debt to her for that. And, I want this to work so bad so that, I can retire her from law enforcement whenever she's ready to, and not have to do certain things. And, I put that out into the universe 2 years ago, and I got 2 years to go. So, there's a lot of driving motivators and forces out there that keeps us showing up and keeps us going and rolling. And I feel that I've made these dudes my family, you know what I'm saying? And they've done the same, to where anybody else's opinion outside of this doesn't really matter, because you don't show up when we show up. You don't put the shoes on that we put on, and you haven't gone through the go through that we've gone through, especially in the pandemic, to where we all really doubled down on each other, tripled our efforts on one another, and showed up in ways that you couldn't have done or said that could be done until a situation like, the COVID-19 showed up, and we was like, all right, it's time to really put your money where your mouth is. And we did. And, I'm really grateful for these guys. And it just goes to show that these dudes really want to win, and not just win, but just they want to create something too. Like Mike loves doing business. I wasn't on like the business thing. Like I own a business. I was kind of hiding that. Like, I own a business, and it's this such and such. And then Wilmer, he's always had an entrepreneurial mind. Like he was doing business stuff before he got into business with us. He was selling shoes online. He had his own thing going. And once he realized that wisdom is unbiased, and you can bring that wisdom wherever you're going, he felt comfortable enough to do that here. That's when things really started to take off and blossom, because we were missing that element, You know, as much as I didn't care for systems and protocols and stuff, when you focus my energy in one direction, I can't be stopped. So once I realized that, I'm like, oh, Ryan, you need systems, bro, systems. So you can take all of the energy and all of the spontaneousness and put it in one direction, you know, and it's just for a few things. So I think, you know, just with us, man, you know, it's we ain't really tripping off what others say. Like, you know, sometimes I wonder, like, man, I wonder how Wilmer's family feels. You know, but then if I start to think about that, then that would take me off of my aim and what I need to get done to make sure that whatever they're saying, it's irrelevant.
Kind of breaks your focus.
Yeah, and it's like, all right, Ryan, well, you need to do your part so that, you know, you don't make Wilmer a fucking liar. You know, so, you know, and I take it all, you know, on my shoulders. Like, you know, Wilmer, like when we say we got Wilmer, that means we have his son. You know,
yeah,
and we really mean that here, you know. So if anything was to happen to Wilmer, you know, he knows that he can trust us to have his son, you know, and we've befriended people through the brand that is family, and you know, and they support us in a lot of different ways, you know, that is very rare to have those people that will do those things with you, for you, and by your side, you know. And I'm just extremely grateful for everything that we've been able to attract through the brand. I don't know what else I'd be doing or what my life would look like. There would be a huge void, you know.
Yeah.
Like, we spend a lot of energy directly and indirectly to make this brand work, you know. And every time I might feel like, oh, man, I don't know if I can. Like, oh, shut up. Don't even entertain that, you know. But, you know, for anyone that is listening, that I think we all have those moments, you know, to where it's like, oh man, like, is this ever going to give, you know, or, you know, are we ever going to have that breakthrough moment, you know? And it's like, maybe, but you have to keep showing up to see if that's going to happen or not, because like there's a higher percentage chance that it will if you keep showing up than the percentage of the chance that you don't show up. Then it's an absolutely no. It's a resounding no. You're not. It's not going to happen at all if you quit.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to quit anything in my life other than like vices and stuff. And I've just created habits on the other side of those things. But, you know, these guys keep showing up, and I gotta keep showing up too for them.
How did you guys, each one of you guys, how did you balance, like Ryan, you got another job and you got a wife. I know how all that goes. Like, how did you guys balance all those different things? And this is for anyone out there listening who has an idea, who's like, I want to start this, but I can't, like, the buts. You know, I can't, but I have a job, but I have a kid, but I have a wife, there's always a reason not to do something. How did you guys find that balance to get that drive to push you into going into this, doing it on your own? Because it's scary, right? Like, not having that 9 to 5 to fall back on is terrifying. Going, you know, that punching in, punching out every day, showing up to work, like, that's, you get a guaranteed paycheck, and, you know, unless, you know, business shuts down, fired, laid off, whatever, but like, you get that. Here you got to create your own paycheck. So how did you balance that in the beginning, kind of making everything happen?
I think it's just a lot of late nights, early mornings. I think also, no matter where you are in your business, or whether you have a day job or not, and that's all you do, you're going to disappoint people. Like, that's just part of it. Customers, friends, relationships. Somewhere someone's going to get disappointed, because whether you got to do something over here, not there. Something like shipping is a big one with customers, especially right now. If they don't get a singlet on time, in our case, you know, they're upset, and they're not upset with the post office. They're usually upset with you.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, like when we first started doing this, I was making like $8.50. So it was like whatever. But I did have a vehicle at that time, so I was still handwriting all the freaking the packages. I'd come in here, we'd do all the packages. I had labels. I'm writing all the labels by hand. And then when I started driving again, like because I was driving trucks, although I wasn't supposed to, I would take the truck over here and I would do it again. Like so, we'd go bust out like the entire day in like an hour, 2 hours, right? And then you kind of like fucking around. Because that's really what truck driving is. You're either early or you're late. Yeah. There's never on time. So all that really allowed us to do more. And then Wilmer was like, "Why the fuck are you handwriting all these things?" Because I was taking so much time. I was always stressing about that because I'd have to come in here and I got time to do like 7 orders. I got to handwrite them. I got to go stand in line and pay for all this at the post office with this big ass 26-foot truck. I'm outside. I'm double parked. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna get a ticket, and then they're gonna be like, "Why'd you get a ticket? Why were you over there at like noon?" So that's like my take. I think it's just continuously going forward. Stuff always comes up. You're always gonna disappoint someone, but you just gotta keep moving forward.
Yeah. For me, my biggest balance will be working on us, and then being a father too, because that's a full-time job. But now that he's older, it's a lot easier because he could
come with,
be a part of what we're building. Whereas when he was smaller, it was a lot harder because man, I don't want to go, So then you kind of feel that guilt of like, all right, I need to spend time with him too, and so it was very difficult. I don't think I ever really had the balance down. It was just kind of making sacrifices all the time for him and for us, and going back and forth with it. And luckily things are working out, but there was never balance. It was kind of just a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah, today we go over here, tomorrow you're here.
Yeah.
There's sacrifice on either end.
So
there's give and take.
Yeah.
Everything has an opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Regardless if you go out to an event to go make some cash, that's time lost with someone else or somewhere else or doing something else. You go make a video today, that's time lost here, there. Or you don't do any of those things today, then you lost out on an opportunity to make the business go forward. So it's just kind of like picking your battles, Yeah. And you're going to lose some bigger than others. And you got to take the punches. You're not going to get through with it, like through life, without getting punched in the face by it.
Yeah, and it helps to have those people in the back of your mind, because that doing this is for them too. So that's always helped.
Does your son, is it something that he's interested in, like, or is he like at that age? I remember being in martial arts, and I ended up quitting after like 7 years because I was like, fuck this. My parents make me do this. I'm not going to do it because they tell me to do it. And so I stopped doing it, and I regret doing it. Like, do you have that, or is he like he's there?
He's just like, right now, like he's inspired to do things. And I feel like we have contributed, like all three of us, like we've contributed to that. And I kind of give him the freedom to do, or like do what he wants, but and we're just here to support. But he's like self-motivated. I don't force him to do any of the sports he's doing or to do good in school. He's he's inspired to do it, and I do feel like what we're doing has contributed a lot to that. And we may feel like, we haven't been successful like in financially, but in that aspect, I don't think nothing could beat it.
Well, that's the thing is, I hate when people success to most people, they see cars, they see money, they see big bank accounts and houses, and social media has contributed to that a lot with, people on their private jets and all that. But success doesn't necessarily mean, it's different to everybody. So someone having that, 7 figures in the bank is success. But for me, success is giving my daughter something to be proud of, and to look back at her parents and be like, fuck, those are my parents. Yeah. Like, so that's like the same, sounds like it's the same thing with you, is your success is, showing your son, hey, if you got a dream, go out and go out and do it.
Chase it. Yeah.
Is this something that he wants to follow also? Because you do photography along with the business and with Nightmare Muscle. Is that something that he's interested in too?
I think for him it's more recreational. I don't think. Yeah, he doesn't want to like do it like that
As a business.
Yeah. But he has fun doing it. You know, we go hiking, we go on trips and stuff, and he brings his camera too, and he enjoys it. But yeah, he's not trying to do it to the same
degree.
Extent. Yeah, degree. Yeah.
So you guys do a lot of powerlifting meets. How did that come about? Like, how did you guys get the idea of like, hey, let's go do this?
It was cheap.
The idea came from me.
I wish everyone could see my face.
It did.
Is that from your powerlifting background?
No. So to do the meets, Mike had the idea of like doing something like that, but he didn't give me a good reason. So I don't listen to Mike when he's like, I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, it's not enough reason.
But it works out.
But it didn't. So I heard J. Cole in a song, and like I said, wisdom is unbiased. So when I listen to music, I don't always listen to for verbatim. Like I project myself into these songs that I listen to, and he said, as an artist, you have to be touring. If you are not touring as an artist, you are losing your fan base because they want to see their artist in person, and like you get. And then there's things that come with you touring. You know, there's merch. Then there's getting, the money of being on tour and all those things. So I heard that, and I was like, all right. So I just took the brand from my. I was like, all right. So as a brand, we need to be touring. What would that look like? Then Mike's idea came. Like he's like, we need to do, X, Y. I was like, okay, that makes sense now. Okay, now this makes sense. We do need to be in front of people. And not only do we need to do it wherever the opportunity comes up. Let's go do it. So for me, it just made sense to go do it because like Mike doesn't always have he'll say things, but then he don't have a reason of why, and then there's no experience behind why he's saying it.
I just be knowing.
He's just trying to boss up on you.
No, I just be knowing. Look, it doesn't matter. I just be knowing these things, and 9 times out of 10, even if it's a year, 2-3 years later, it comes back to it. Like,
like I said, you would say he's full of it. So then and then it happens to be like, oh, like this was kind of right, but at the time you didn't have any stock in that, so I can't give you credit for that. But all in all, the powerlifting meets, because we were in that realm. And it was tough at first because I didn't see us as that, initially. And that's what was the struggle for a few years, because I was like, we're not just a powerlifting brand, I just didn't, because I didn't start off powerlifting. Powerlifting came later on for me. And then all of the benefits of what powerlifting has added into my life then made more sense for me to want to be in powerlifting. But initially, I was just into training, banging on weights, training, and it was never. It didn't have to be. There was no end outcome. There was when you train for a meet, the meet was the day I was showing up. We're smashing pre-workout, and then we're gonna go in there and we just want to destroy the weight room, and then we're gonna go home, and then we're gonna come back and do it again. That was just the thing that we loved doing.
Yeah, we tried to go into some bodybuilding shows, but it was way too expensive at the time. I remember our first show we tried to go to, they wanted $2,500 for a booth outside. Yeah. And then my experience, because I used to work at a private gym, that was a powerlifting gym, and they host a lot of events. I helped out. I helped put a lot of meets on while I worked there, and that's kind of how it came to be. You just meet people, you hear about these meets, and then you kind of ask them. And then I think our first booth was $100. Our first booth ever. So when someone wants $2,500 versus $100, it makes sense. You can't. It's hard to lose.
What was the reception? Because I've looked at a lot of, and you get these big names, right? Kabuki Strength is all over these events, and it's Kabuki Strength. It's big supplement companies, kind of like corporate, right? But you don't see the clothing brands. You don't see a lot of the local stuff. So what was your guys' reception as almost like trailblazers in that realm of a booth at a powerlifting meet, and you're, you know, local company, but you guys are branching out big. What was your reception from the people there? Like the first time you did it, was it, oh, this is awesome? Or was it like, yeah, this is kind of different?
I think it's the same thing we get now. Like, you know, you get people, they read the name, oh, Nerd Muscle, what's that? Or they read that from afar and they don't want to come up right away. But, you know, I think it just takes time. Like, I don't think anyone immediately loves something. A lot, especially in like a sport that's so intimate, because everyone for the most part knows each other. Like, I know people from all over the country because of this sport, and vice versa. You can almost it's almost impossible to go to any meet in for any federation in any part of this country and not know at least one person. So I think that's what it just takes time. Like people meeting you and then hearing what you got to say, hearing what you're about. And then them making the decision of that's for them. And then once you start getting those people, they start telling everybody else and bring people along. And then that's like kind of how you drive it. But I feel like at least in this sport, you have to keep on that grind every single day. You know, kind of smash people in the mouth with who you are and what you're about. Because the moment you let up, that's like when someone else tries to like wiggle in.
It's selling CDs on a corner. Right,
People,
it's musicians trying to break into the game, and they're selling that CD for $5 in front of the Warfield. Yeah. Like, hey, listen to my music, and it's the same thing. You gotta, if you don't have, you know, $1 million backing you, you're not getting the billboards. You're not, like, you gotta feet on the ground, start from the ground up, and you gotta hustle to get what you want. Yeah,
Mike likes to go the political route with his answers and stuff. People weren't feeling us. People they wasn't feeling the name. Mike was just like, I'm like, bro, shut up. Like, people wasn't feeling, I don't care how, he's like, they wasn't feeling it. And it was rough. People are mean, for a lack of better words, and they don't necessarily know that, but they don't also care. So when they walk past the booths, you know, I internalize that stuff, and that's what drives me to keep showing up every day, because they'll look and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I don't know what that is. Oh, what they doing? Oh, they're not 8-man strong, or they're not this and that. They're not this and them. And it's just like, you know, and then it also didn't have lifting on the shirt, and then Mike was so adamant, like, we need to put some weights. I'm saying, I don't want to put that stuff on there. No, that's not what we're about. And I was just like, dude, they're either going to feel what we're about, and we're going to keep pushing this brand in the direction of how I want to push it, and we're just going to figure it out that way. We're not going to just give in to, you know, again, what the consumer wants. Like, I'm good off that. I'll shut it down before I ain't tripping, you know, and at the time I was really hard-headed, but, you know, I felt that gave us the fortitude of where we are now. Like, I didn't, like, it bothered me, you know, like we brought colors. People was like, what? Like, y'all got colors here? Where's the black? I'm like, over there. Yeah. You know, go get that from Titan or something. Like, I love color. I love brightness. And that is what kind of kept us in the loop, because there were other people that felt that way too. And it just kind of kept going. And I felt like we set that trend of having colors, man, with the tie-dyes and stuff. I just at the time didn't see it that way. You know, I was just going off a feeling. And if we could do it over again, I would just stay there for a while and market that stuff and really try to figure out how we, looking at numbers, like Mike is a number, like seeing what's so, but it is what it is. We didn't do that. And we're kind of figuring that stuff out now and doing it the right way now. But yeah, we showed up to meets and people looked at us. There were some meets we didn't make $1.
Yeah, facts.
There was a handful of meets that we didn't make $1, and we rode home and things were quiet and we was just like, man, and then it's just for whatever reason I'm not a quitter, and Mike just brainwashed himself to say, well, there's gonna be better days, so
I'm still that way.
Yeah, and I was like, yep, I feel it. Like something's gonna give, and we just keep pounding, and like that's where the deeper than a rep came from. We just kept showing up, and I was like, dude,
somebody's going to be annoyed with us keep showing up at these events, and they're just going to ask us what's going on. And
what's so funny is I just ran those numbers today. Do you know what WorkCat Open was for us?
What?
Do you know what number meet that was for us in person? That was our 336th meet we've been in person, and our 765th meet that we helped sponsor.
Jesus, that is huge.
We just show up, man, and people like they'll say, "Man, y'all at everything." I said, "Well, we everywhere, man. Like you can't get around us." And I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Like to me,
You're just gonna have to accept it.
We're gonna be here, and we're gonna keep pushing the positive message, and we're gonna keep pushing, more so the development side of what all this is, because what everybody else is about is detrimental to your life. Like we're trying to creep into the side of how this is a betterment to it. But not everybody wants is into that stuff. But it's all right because we're gonna stay around long enough to where this comes full circle. It's like, hey, we've been saying this, we've been doing this, and now you guys are finally here with us. Cool, we're gonna charge you triple for it. So, and it's coming around to that. People are asking questions in those areas, and we have, if anything, we have experience. That's it.
Is the reception better now when you guys show up than when you started? Like you said, you're 300 something in. Is it like, hey, Nightmare Muscles here, as opposed to what the hell are these guys? Like it's almost expected now.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think it was like that last big push right before COVID. We did 48 meets. We in person. We did a meet every single weekend except for like 2 of them, 2 or 3. But for the most part, we were there every single meet. We traveled to Texas that year. We all over. We literally just did meet after meet after meet. And towards the end of that year, started helping out a lot. But I would say now people kind of, if we're not there, they ask us where we're at. Yeah. So we'll get DMs. And then when we are there, people are like, "Oh my God, you guys are here!" But it's like you can only do so many meets, in a weekend. There's like 3 or 4 meets on the same Saturday, and you got to pick and choose.
Yeah, I feel like we're a staple, man. If Nightmare Muscle ain't the meet, it ain't official. And a lot of people say, "Man, when y'all here, it feels like official. Like it feels like a meet." And they know, because they know that we're not just there to sell people stuff. Yeah. Like we're there involved in the meet in any which way or every way.
You're supporting the game. Like you're supporting the meet, you're supporting the athletes. It's not just here's our stuff, here's our brand, but you're there showing support to the people who are putting it all out there on the platform.
We've been at meets where the volunteers didn't show up, and me and Ryan have literally had to stop the booth to go spot and load.
Yeah, and I think it's weird how these things work out, because normally it's just me and Mike, but then we'd have somehow we'll have somebody extra, or Wilmer was on, but before Wilmer, it was either Maria, my wife, or one of our other homies was there, and we just have people that are around us that are just down. Down. They're down. Like whatever needs to get done, we're here to do it. And those are the type of people we love to keep around us, and those are the people we attract. But there's been a handful of meets that we were in that meet in every which way. We were there with the brand. Wilmer was taking pictures. Mike was, figuring out the banners and stuff and placement and helping them out with the meet. And I was emceeing the event. It's just we was all over that.
It's a Nightmare Muscle meet.
Without it being said, and my favorite place to be at is Old School Iron, because that's where it started for us. That's what I'm saying? You can't overdo the first place that allowed you to be there. Yeah. And that was my first meet, and we were just off to the left side of it. Just people were kind of like, are they selling stuff? What's going on?
Our table was kind of whack.
We just kind of had somewhat of a pop-up, and we just had a bunch of people around us. And for those that came up and bought some stuff, man, it was really cool, man. But we're going to kind of scale these things back, and our financial advisor, Wilmer, he was like, we need to do They just need to be more impactful. Like, because obviously we do volume. We can do volume like nobody else, and we can still do that. But I think we need to focus our attention, just going a little more in depth of the plan is, pouring more into a few. Doing less is doing more.
Yeah.
And, and trying to really make whichever ones we do really impactful, make them count, and get as much as we can out of it. And therefore, we don't always have to, pack the truck up every single weekend and be out for 16 hours. This last meet,
I'm down to do that every weekend, though.
yeah, no, yeah, I'm down too. But Wilmer has a son, and he doesn't always get to see him, and then Wilmer feels bad when he doesn't show up. So he's like, and we're like, oh, it's good, like. That's why there's three of us, but we all want to be there. Nobody wants to be like, oh, you wasn't there last time, huh? He's like, nah,
you get FOMO,
don't
FOMO
do that.
if you're not
don't
there.
do that. Because we all want to show up for each other. But, what was he just saying?
This last meet was almost 16, 18 hours for us.
Yeah, I
Ain't
saw you
nobody
guys
trying to
going
do
over
that.
late.
Nobody's
for
trying,
the most part-
nobody trying to do that.
I was gonna say, for the most part, we wake up at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
With the new coffee, we'll have to wake up a little earlier because we gotta get it started early.
I was fucking dead.
My dude, he loves his sleep and he loves his breakfast.
Oh, Will loves to
You know what I'm
sleep. He
saying?
loves to be fed.
It's okay. It's no hate though.
No,
But this was sure was a longer meet. It was 120 lifters, 2 platforms, 1 day. So we ended up finishing, I think, at 7 or 8.
Yeah, we packed up and was leaving the parking lot at 7:30 p.m. And it's an endurance game, but that kind of stuff was what drives me, and I love that just because I'm like, oh, y'all can't do this the way we do it, and we do it with a smile on our face. We're like, we're here in front of these people, like these is our people, and and I was in there emceeing the whole time, showing the other wannabes that this is the marathon. Don't think that you're just gonna come in here in the first session and outdo somebody. Like,
I think with that though is like people just don't realize that Ryan has actually trained and did a lot of work and got a coach on how to speak and do public speaking. So he can do a 12-hour shift on a mic and not have a rasp voice or hurt himself, and like continuously keep that energy. Most people
and it's
are
a gift of mine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind talking.
He got the
I
gift
can
of gab.
just talk. I got that from my mama. Like, we just talk. But my mom can out talk me. But it's just one of those things. So it's just, but it's also cool to see other folks seeing me do it, and then they're like, "Oh man, I can do that." Like I actually made that kind of cool.
You
to
made
do
it look easy.
And then but back to the event and stuff, man. Like, we love doing it, and that's why I feel like we do get invited back, because we're never an issue.
Yeah.
If anybody that's out there listening that you do events, or if you do get involved with other people, don't be an issue. Look to serve first before you serve yourself. And if you can do that first and have the energy that backs that up and proves it, you will always be invited back. Even if you're not the first person in mind, you will be that either in the net, like, man, well, these guys come, and not only do they come, they clean up after themselves, and they even clean up too, and they come with a smile and great energy. Like, who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
To be around, when you're doing things and everything is in disarray or whatever, and you got these guys with experience. Like, we can help too. Like, do you need some questions and answers? Because we've been to 300 plus events, so we done seen some things now. So, yeah, man.
Would you guys like to see that more?
More what?
More show at at when you guys go to meets, like more vendors, food, stuff like do you like that it's more of a production kind of thing as opposed to people just going there lifting? Like, I come from a pro wrestling background.
That's showmanship 100.
And it's I love the, like, at intermission, you got tables set up with merch, and wrestlers are taking pictures and they're signing autographs, and it's, if you don't have that, it's
not really a show.
It's not a show. So do you feel like that adds to the events, and having a bigger turnout like that gives more to the event, or does that take away from takeaway from the meet?
I'd like to hear from Will and then Ryan, and then I'll get my 2-piece because I feel like I'm always ready to talk about this specific subject.
No, I think it definitely gives to the event. I mean, not only do I think that, but we've had people come up to us and say that, like, okay, you guys are here. This is a meet now. So we're just like one vendor. And, you know, if one vendor could have that type of impact, you know, just imagine having a few more there, or, you know, different, like a variety of different things. You know, you got food, you got the merch, different things, the photography. Like, that's kind of what we've been bringing, but it has made a positive impact.
For me, yeah, but most people won't show up because they want to get paid. And that's the problem with a lot of, and we were actually on the other side of that. Like, we didn't care that we got paid. Like, we're trying to bring that to the other side, but it absolutely adds to the experience for the consumer and the supporters when there's vendors there, when there's an actual person that is mastering the mic, that can, you know, interact with the crowd. Wrestling is a great example. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes people don't know what the hell is going on, but then because there's announcers and there's MCs and people are kind of, you know, talking you through what's going on and why it looks the way it looks, you kind of dissolve yourself into the moment more. You're like, oh, that's what's going on. Oh, that's interesting. Or you're like, oh, I really don't care, but that's cool that I actually know that. So then when you leave there, you actually leave there with some information. Yeah. And I feel that powerlifting sucks at that, but Warcat actually does a really good job of that, and they're actually in a really great place, and I feel they probably throw the best meets right now to date, and we have a lot of experience in it. Like, that comes from 300 plus meets that we've done, and we've done 4 maybe with them, and every single meet that we've been to is sold out. They've got music. It's an event. Yeah. It's an experience, and
it's a spectacle.
That's why people show up, because it's not just lifting. And then when you have your friend Ryan on the mic, it's a show now.
Shameless plug.
It's a show now because I actually enjoy it. I enjoy talking about powerlifting and then interacting with the crowd and the people. Like, you know, like saying, is your son, you know, like getting them involved, because then now they're more invested. Yeah. You got a son here? What's his name? What's your name? Okay, I'm gonna shout you out. Or somebody in the back that's like checked out. Hey, how you doing back there? You know, like they just don't know, you know, what's going on. In
Ryan's basically doing stand-up comedy.
Literally. Being informative too.
Yeah.
Some
people don't know.
Yeah, you have a lot of spectators that don't know what the hell's going on. And,
they're supporting a friend that's going to lift heavy stuff.
Right, yeah.
It's not just that.
They come to the booth like, what's going on?
Yeah, they'll ask. So Ryan's done a great job at informing people like, hey, this is what's going on. This is why he got a red light. And I was like, shit, that makes a meet, because you don't get that. You know, when you have the regular person on the mic.
And powerlifting is boring.
They'll be like, Jake Gyllenhaal, you're on deck.
And that's no good.
Yeah, and that's it.
One more attempt to try again.
Lift. All righty. Here we have Michael Lucero is up next, though.
With 7 kilos.
But, man, yes, to your point, whoever is out there and you guys throw events, please invite vendors. That adds to the experience. And not only does that add to the experience, that helps out the economy of what we're doing. You know, and don't be fearful that other brands are going to be there, because your people will buy from you. Yeah. And also that's going to put pressure on you to show up and show out. You can't just sit there and be like, I have stuff for you to buy. Yeah. Like, you're going to have to get up and give some energy so that people can come over and speak to you. Like, we used to, like,
I would say this comes from experience, because we've definitely been that, we have this, come by for me.
To us? Like, and then people gave us this, like, well, y'all kind of big, you know, and it's not always easy to come up to guys, you know, that are there. And that's why we try to soften it up with our wives or our girls there. And we kind of like, you know, hang back. Wilmer's actually really great at because he actually has sales experience, you know, and it's funny because he says something. He's like, man, not everybody's about that commission life. You know, like you get what you get what you kill in here. And I was like, okay, Will. Like, he said, I done commission, man, so I know what it's like to not make $1, but you're there for 10 hours.
Yep.
So it's like, if I'm going to be here, you going to hear from me. And then, you know, so it's, man, you get to see sides of people that you would never see of them unless you're put in a situation to where they're having to, you know, grow, you know, and they've, and ultimately Peterson said this, like, play the fool, you know, in order to transform yourself into something that you want to be, you have to be willing to play the fool. And I want to say for almost 7 years now, we have been playing the fool, and it's only a matter of time before we become that hero, or however people want to say, or we become all of what we knew we were in the beginning, and what we will manifest it to be.
I would say that. I would say I think our overnight success story is coming 7 years late. But to go back to the event stuff, I think I love events to a fault. Like I absolutely love going to meets. I love the sport of powerlifting. I love helping out. I have a lot of ideas and suggestions on things that I think should work, and I give them out freely. Since we do so much work with different meet directors, I let them know. And I think what really keeps the sport back from being better is that things cost more. Inflation's a real thing, and powerlifting hasn't caught up for some reason. Because you still have meet directors that still charge, like, $60 for a meet, but then they want to do this really cool T-shirt, and T-shirts are going to cost them like $1,500. And it doesn't matter where you go in the country, or you want to have a really nice backdrop, or have like the flares and the spectacles, or an MC, and that's what Ryan does. And people don't know that it's called Master of Ceremony, or that's what it stands for. All these things cost money, and I think for the most part, as lifters, they genuinely understand that in their hearts, and they want better meets, and they're willing to pay. Like Warcat's a prime example. Like their meet, they're a prime example of a meet director that I like. Being personal, I don't gotta say nothing to them. Like, they're doing everything that I feel a meet director should be doing. Charging like $120 for registration. Shirts are like $30-$40, and it's a cool shirt. It's a great shirt. It's not like some just rinky-dink clip art, which I freaking hate. They have it down to a T. The only thing I would say is, like, probably the food. Like this past meet, they didn't have food, and then usually, like, the food they bring is like meh, in my opinion. But that's not what matters. But I do think all those things make it a great MC, a great warm-up room. Treating the lifters like athletes is super important to me, and I think that there's levels to it. Whether it's a local meet, a state meet, and now the new pro division coming in, I'm like I listen to everything, and I try to read as much as possible about our sport and our industry. And I love to be a part of it. Like, I love the sport so much. Like, I think this last year we did 150 meet graphics, and I don't charge them because, like, they don't make money, and it's hard to get people to charge more if they're not understanding that. And that's why I said I love this sport, and I love the events to a fault where I probably give a little too much, because then when you don't give, then they get mad at you.
Yeah.
It's almost like they start feeling like it's a expectation versus a privilege. It's like a driver's license. It's not a right. I mean, it's not a privilege. It's a right. I'm sorry. It's not. Y'all know what I mean. Yeah. It's not a right. It's a privilege. Yeah. But I genuinely want all these meets to do better. I want them to be. I want the next level of showmanship to be there. I want athletes to feel like they're getting what they're there for. And then I also, like, if you're going to spend $120 on a registration as an athlete, if I was me, I would want that to feel like that. Because I also, like, personally, whenever I compete, I don't ever buy the shirt, because it's usually a trash shirt on all ways. Like, the actual shirt, the graphic. Old School Iron's been doing a really good job the last few years, and I actually love their shirts. Like, I don't compete, and I try to buy a shirt. Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like, there's this little nuances you can do. Food is huge. Most people that are their first meet, they don't realize they need to bring food. And I think the other part of it is, I think that what gets lost in powerlifting is the serving, because a lot of these meet directors, they make a lot of cash off this, and there's not a lot of giving back, or they're very stingy, or they make just enough to kind of do certain things. And this is across the board in federations I've seen, because we work with almost every single federation except for a few. It's just the little things, and things are just only going to get more expensive to run. Yeah. Whether it's you driving a couple 100 miles to do a meet, the weights, the bars, trophies, and medals are expensive. But all those little nuances I think are super important, and I think it all kind of starts with a great meat logo or graphic, something that looks cool, and then it is cool, and then treating everybody with respect and always trying to be better for them, and knowing that it's not always about a paycheck. And I think that's kind of like what gets lost.
Do you think I personally am new to the powerlifting world. I've competed once. And it was by
now you're a powerlifter.
it was by kind of happenstance.
Yeah. I mean, we made your singlet. I remember that.
Yeah. It was like, hey, you should come do this. I was like, I'm not doing this. I just like Ryan. I just like lifting. Like it's fun watching myself get stronger. And then I was convinced to sign up, and then my buddy backed out, and I was like, all right, well, I'm doing this on my own. Then I have no clue what I'm doing. And I don't know a ton about where the sport is right now, but I've gotten more into it. Where do you guys think powerlifting is, and is there a resurgence of it? From the days I know of, I can't remember the name of the federation, but there was a big TV show, and it was like a big old deal with West Side Barbell guys, and like there was a huge thing, and then it kind of tapered away, and it seems like people got away from the powerlifting stuff, and I feel like it's coming back. Is that what you guys get, and do you guys want to see that grow into a bigger stage?
I think we all have like a difference of opinion on this one.
I think right now with the sport of powerlifting is just I hate to use this word, they're clout seeking. The generation right now, they're in it for their own agendas. They're trying to either show how much they can lift, or how good they look in something, or what their favorite influencer is doing, and they're going to do it, and hopefully that they will get the same type of notoriety and fame that influencer has. And there are because I didn't get into the sport initially too. I didn't know the whole history of powerlifting. I was very new, and I think that I liked it that way because I wasn't influenced to do it either which way. I had an open mind about how to become strong. I wasn't aware of West Side Barbell
for
a very long time. I didn't know who any of them dudes was. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, who's that dude? So I don't fangirl over anybody in powerlifting except for nobody. I just
commercial gym powerlifters.
You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate everyone. You know what I'm saying? And if you come up to us, I treat you like I don't know who you are, and I don't expect you to know who I am. But man, it's I can't put a thumb on it. You know what I mean? Because we were just at a meet right now, and you can just see the thirst in every last lifter and every supposed coach out there.
Yeah.
Oh, you do a meet and you're a coach now. Oh man, there's so many things wrong with that, but you know what? It's going to run its course, and a lot of people are going to catch on as like, dude, all right, this is not working out. But for me, I think a lot of it just is a lot of just they're just doing it a lot for the wrong reasons, and everybody wants to get sponsored, or everybody wants to do be asked to do something, and then they receive everything to give nothing. And Nightmare Muscle, we're not about that, and we won't ever go in that direction. We want those that are willing to put in the work and show up. We'll figure out a way to get you on and get you suited and booted, but man, I don't know, man. I don't know if I answered the question, but there are some youngsters out there that are about getting strong and in it for the long haul, but I feel like there's a lot of youngsters that are starting off really young powerlifting, and they're trying to be 10 years strong in 10 months.
I think Ryan's right with that. Like, there is a lot of stuff I do not care for right now in the sport, particularly with how people are, However, I think he's also right where that's going to run its course and that'll be over. Numbers-wise and, like, just stats-wise, powerlifting is as big as it's ever been. just in the USPA alone today, I was talking with some Army directors, doing my weekly check-in with, just making sure they get everything they need from our print shop. I think the USPA today, as of today, they're active almost 17,000 lifters in the country that are like actively registered and competing, which is, I think, the biggest they've ever had. Right now, we're seeing the biggest surge of women ever competing, and I think that's crazy. Yeah. When I say this every time this kind of comes
to Susie.
Facts. Susie from Garage and Barbell, she's the best, hella strong. And I think she's got a national record. Don't quote me on that, but she was at
one of them just got a. Was it national or world?
They're at Worlds, right? They're at Worlds.
There's one that just one of their lifters, I think, was in like the 65 to 69. Hit a record.
I think a few of them got a record this past weekend.
Overall numbers.
They're killing it, man. And I always bring this up too with women. People are always like, oh, because I think the biggest thing from the outside is people assume some of these girls are taking like roids and everything. Yeah. And I honestly don't feel that's the case. I think what it is the pool of women that lift and compete is bigger. Like before, when you only have like 1,000 women worldwide lifting, like of course you're gonna have a few strong women. But now I think we're like tens of thousands. There's for sure, the more that they lift and actually do things, the more you're going to see girls that are benching 225 plus pounds, 315 pounds, deadlifting 405, squatting in the fives. And I love to see it. And I think right now the sport is in a weird transition of growth. I think all the negative stuff that's been going on is going to run its course, just like the money meets and how that's all going. Like WRPF and the USAPL are both they're opening up their pro division. And as of, I guess, this new weekend, they're going to be giving out professional powerlifting cards, like an IFBB Pro card. And they've changed the scoring system. So the USAPL, how they're going to do that is you earn points based on the amount of meets and where you place at throughout the year. And these points accumulate for you to qualify for meets and qualify for those meets to get your pro card. I think that'll be great for the pro division. There's still things I would like to see be done, but it's here or there, I could talk for hours on that subject itself, but I think powerlifting is on its best leg, but we need to come together to push it forward. There's too many people, I think, trying to take their cup and fill it and run away. Like there's like 17 million freaking different federations, different rules. Everyone got their own. You got to pay different membership fees. Even if like two of the biggest federations would come together, or even separately, they have enough money to run enough national ads to actually grow the sport, because I think outreach is the biggest thing, and teaching new lifters what's right and wrong. Etiquette is a big thing, because I think that's kind of like what you see sometimes at these meets is that people be all up in your face or in your way in the weight room or in your in the warm up room with a camera, and it's like, my dude, we're here to lift and get it in. I'm here to compete, regardless if I'm here for money, if I'm here for myself, if I'm here to beat you because we have our own little disagreement or a rivalry going on. Yeah, I didn't come here to have you ask me questions and put a camera in my face or make a TikTok of me. For anybody out there who wants to start their own business, whatever it is, clothing, whatever. I have a friend who just started at 52 years old, her own food prep business, and now she works for herself. And it's amazing to see. What would you guys give for advice to anybody who's on the fence? It's that's full of those buts. I can't, but what would you say to that person if they asked you for advice?
Sure, I'll go first. So I would say look at everything as an opportunity. And we could go back to what we were talking about earlier about our closest people not supporting us. You could see it as, oh, man, they're hating, or, they're not supporting and they're not showing love. Or you could see it as oh, this is an opportunity for me to analyze what I'm doing and see why they're not supporting. Is what I'm doing not valuable, or do they just not value it and other people do? And just going with that outlook on everything at least has helped me grow significantly, at least even this past year where I committed to do this full time, is just seeing everything as an opportunity and instead of a problem. And I think I made a video on this a long time ago. Ryan encouraged that, I think. Yeah. So Yeah, just looking at everything as an opportunity, I think will help tremendously, like in the journey.
I'm a firm believer that everyone should have a hustle. I don't care what it is. Like, everyone should have a hustle. Some type of small business. It doesn't have to be a full-time thing. It could literally be like we had a friend that made candles.
What's your advice though?
My advice is just to start. And if you have questions, literally Google things. Google has like 99.99999% of the answers. Like to this day, we went over this last week's podcast. We ask questions how to do things all the time. And it's not that we don't want to tell people how to do things. It's just that majority of the questions can be Googled.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you are incapable of using the Google machine, or that's just a little too daunting, then you may have to reassess whether or not you really want this, because it is scary. It can be daunting. There's a lot of unknowns, but it's the same thing every day you wake up. You may not wake up. You may get fired.
Yeah.
You may get a promotion. You may get demoted. You know what I'm saying? Anything can happen. Your car can break down. You can lose. There's the same amount of unknowns come with owning and operating your own business as not owning and operating your own business. It's just the reward is higher for the same amount of risk.
If somebody was to ask me, for some advice, I would tell them, you're right. You're right if you don't think you can do it, and you're right if you think you can do it. And whatever energy, wherever you're putting your energy in is what you're going to go with. So go with that then. But if you're waiting on somebody to affirm you or give you the green light, it's never going to happen. And if you're waiting for somebody to believe in your dream more than you, then you need to reassess yourself. You need to sit down and do some self-reflection, because no one is going to see what you see. It's your genius. It's your gift, and you have to cultivate it. And no one should, right? Because it's something that's deep inside of you, and you need to spend more time with yourself doing things that you like to do, other than trying to appease others and try to do what you think that they want you to do. And too often we see people doing that, and then that's why they quit, because they didn't like to do it in the first place, or they were doing it because they thought they would get, something from it that they didn't get. So then they quit. And then my second part of it, if they ask me advice, I say, don't do it, because you're going to quit. And I know you're going to quit. So don't do it, because you're just going to get yourself in debt, and you're going to get yourself all these pains, and then you're going to go and tell somebody else that they shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So just save yourself the heartache, and don't do it. Stay in your little job, and stay in your little world, in your little realm. And then if you take an offense to anything that I'm saying, if it bothers you, prove me wrong.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, I got one more too. Like never stop learning, because you'll never know everything, and also don't limit yourself. Like if you don't know, it's okay, but we all have potential to learn it.
Yeah.
And go for it.
The moment you feel like you know it all, or you don't need to learn anymore, that's the moment you lost.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like there's always somebody stronger. There's always somebody faster.
Yeah.
Because what we I think invest the most time in here is fucking research. Like shit, dude. Like that's something you don't see. You can't. There's no way to show it on social media. Like fuck, it's a lot of research, a lot of learning.
If we got paid for the research that we did, we would be millionaires for sure.
People see the picture, they see the video, they see the shirt. They don't see the
preparation,
the tens, hundreds of hours behind that shot, behind that video, behind the whole production.
Yeah.
I think it's a great example, like the freaking graphic design. Like Ryan and Will both said, I don't know how to do that. I learned how to do it out of necessity, and it's taken me 7 years to be okay at it.
We all just kind of just figured out our space and place here, and we said, all right, this is what we're gonna. This is gonna be my offering to the here, and we're just continuously doing our best to be the best at that, and not try to do everything else in this in here, And we understand that there's things that we're good at and gifted at, and we hone in on those things, and then we also want to learn the other elements of the business so that we can help and assist when there's time, and we can understand what else is going on with the business too.
Without giving anything away, what are your guys' future plans? What do you guys want to do? Where do you guys see yourselves in 5 years? I'm sure you all have different visions of that. I feel like Mike's got this 10,000 square foot warehouse and
hot dog carts.
Man,
nothing wrong with that at all. Because I'm the same way.
I think where I see us in where I see things in 5 years, us still together, stronger than ever, still going after it as if it's day one here. But I do see us in our own facility, and I say a facility and not a gym because we all understand that gyms don't make money. So we will have a gym inside of it that will have people in there getting after it, doing things. But we also want it to be an educational center as well, because I feel what we have to offer our community is much more deeper than just training. Like, we can teach entrepreneurship. We can teach some financial things just on a very basic level. We don't know a whole lot of things, but we can teach real time because it's not theory around here. We can show you bills, and we can show you checks that we cut, and then, that's the vision that I see, and I see it still being here in the Bay Area, and I see us traveling, and doing big meets, and selling merch, doing the stuff that we do. I love events, man, and I won't stop doing them. We just have to be choosy, but I see us there in 5 years, and I see, us finally really walking in our greatness, and being able to help others do the same. That's a big thing around here, is like we do want to help, and we do service. We want to service our community, man, and we want to give hope to the hopeless and show that ordinary dudes, we're ordinary, being extraordinary, and just not caring about what anybody else says that you can do. Because the day you care more about that than what you want to do, then that's the day I think you die twice. You just haven't followed through with it yet. The dirt hasn't been thrown over you. But I do see us in our own facility. I see us with a podcast room, and just being a vital element here in the Bay Area.
I'm gonna give a shameless plug. I foresee our new equipment line that just dropped being even bigger and better. Just a fun fact: we got knee sleeves, wrist wraps are gonna drop on Black Friday, elbow sleeves, and a few other little goodies. But I foresee things like that just kind of growing into a bigger space. It's taken us 7 years to get equipment. Who knows what we'll have in the next 5 years, but I know we all have a grand vision for things. I'm with Ryan on the event space or a facility.
Headquarters.
He wants a giant headquarters. I'm okay with all that.
This is HQ.
Because if we get that, HQ. I'm gonna get we're gonna give a commercial kitchen in there. I'm gonna have my food carts in there. And my food trucks.
Will, what's your? Go ahead, Will. What's your? Because Mike now just.
Nah, it's the same. Our vision. I feel like our vision's aligned, and that's why we're working together. So,
where can everybody find you guys?
Check us out at @nightmare_muscle on Instagram, Facebook.com/nightmaremuscle, www.nightmaremuscle.com, as well as YouTube.com/nightmaremuscle, and we're also on Spotify under Nightmare Muscle.
And shameless plug, Wilmer, you got your other side stuff.
Oh yeah, the personal project, the Breaking PRs coffee at breakingprs.com.
And if you need any more additional motivation or inspiration, you can follow your friend Ryan on Instagram.
Personal development coach.
Facts.
Awesome. Well, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, whatever your platform is. Like, listen, share. Give us a rating. 5 stars would be awesome. We would like to thank our sponsor, 9 Realms Athletics, 9realmsathletics.com. Use promo code MANIFEST for a discount. And if listeners, anybody out there, you have a story that you want to tell, you have something that you think you could give the world to help better people, let us know. Send us an email, send us a DM. If you know somebody that has a crazy story that they could help other people, also let us know. Thank you guys for hopping on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Hey.